We have been challenged by considering the love of God, our love for God, and now our love for one another. A professor in a university was holding a test for his students. So when the students were all gathered together, he had his sheets for them to write their answers, question sheet. And he went distributed it, and they all had it face down on their desk. When all had their papers, the professor told them to turn it, and all they could see was just one black dot. But the professor told them, "This is your test. Now you describe what you see in the paper." The students were perplexed, but they all began to write about that black dot, the size of the blackboard, where the black dot was, and what shape it was, and all the description about the black dot. And when they had finished, the professor collected their papers and read all their descriptions without fail of that one black dot. Now the professor held out that same paper to them, white paper with a black dot. And he said, "See here in this paper, everything is white. There's only one small black dot. But your eyes have not focused on the white, but on the black dot." So it is in human relationships. We may have faults, all of us have, nobody is perfect. We have these black dots. But when you look at one another, our eyes focus on those black dots, those faults, their weaknesses, their unlovely ways, and we forget all the good that they have. This is a lesson. Let us focus our eyes on the good that are also in people and forgive them their black dots. I remember a time, it was Good Friday, and I was worshiping the Lord in my church. And I was so, as I heard the speaker after speaker coming and telling about the suffering of Jesus Christ, I was moved to tears, and I bowed my head in worship and thanksgiving for His great love and sacrifice. And then it was as though the Holy Spirit reminded me of somebody, a cousin, with whom I had been angry and hadn't talked to for a long time. And it prompted me within to go and be reconciled. Reminded me of a verse in Matthew chapter 5, which says 23 to 24. If you are offering your gift at the altar, and there remember that your brother has something against you, leave your gift there and be reconciled to your brother. Then come and offer your gift. That verse came to my mind. She had a grudge against me, and I was angry with her. I don't have to wait for her to come and ask forgiveness, because the issue we had differed on, I felt I was right. So it is she who has to come and ask forgiveness of me, right? Because I was right and she was wrong. But then, in forgiving one another, it's Jesus' love, unconditional. Nevertheless, nonetheless, whatever. So the Lord convicted me. I was very proud. It took a lot of struggle. And I said, "Lord, by myself, I just cannot. You need to help me." And my mind came to a verse that was very precious in Romans chapter 5. And this is what it says. "We also rejoice in our sufferings." This is verse 3. "Because we know that suffering produces perseverance, perseverance character, and character hope. And hope does not disappoint us, because God has poured out His love into our hearts by the Holy Spirit whom He has given us. The Lord floods our heart with His love. He has poured out His love into our hearts. And I prayed, I said, Lord, I don't have love in my heart to love her, to forgive her. But You pour Your love into my heart so that I can love with Your love. And amazingly, that moment, the Lord flooded my heart with so much of His love. I was moved to tears and I was weeping. You know, God is so faithful to His promise. Whatever He has promised, He will do. We just have to ask. And I asked. And He fulfilled His promise. He flooded my heart with His love. I was filled with joy and peace. And then, after the service, I went straight to my cousin's house and I asked her forgiveness. And we were reconciled. Glory be to God, when we can live at peace with one another by forgiving one another's hurts and healing one another's emotions. How faithful He is and how unfaithful we really are. If there is someone who's listening who has unforgiveness, who's not talking to somebody, then I would urge you, Matthew 5, verse 23 to 25, read that. No point in offering sacrifices, in doing good works, and we offer them to God. It's not acceptable until you are forgiven and you are reconciled. So I pray that in your heart too, the Holy Spirit will flood His love, so that in God's love within you, you can go out, forgive another, and be reconciled. For the honor and the glory of His name, we ask this. Amen.